Marvel's The Fantastic Four First Steps has now been out for over a month. How does it hold up? Let's discuss. Well, hello everyone, my name is Jay and welcome to my review of The Fantastic Four First Steps. I did actually see this film on opening night a month ago when it came out. However, just last week I went back to the cinema for a second viewing. My thoughts on the film stayed relatively similar, but I did actually leave this time enjoying it slightly more than I did the first time. I am now going to put a spoiler warning up for the rest of the video, so if you've not seen Fantastic Four First Steps yet, go to the cinema, see it, get those box office numbers up, then come back to the video and you can hear my thoughts on it. As long as you're okay with that, let's get started. So starting off with the positives, of which there are many, seeing this film for a second time really just confirmed to me that Julia Garner as the Silver Surfer / Shalla-Bal and Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, who also goes by Invisible Woman, were the standout performers of the film. Just talking about Silver Surfer first of all, I thought giving her an actual purpose beyond just heralding death for the much more maniacal Galactus was a welcome plot element, and I also really enjoyed her relationship with Joseph Quinn's Johnny Storm. Julia Garner as an actress I thought was absolutely spectacular, nailing both those deadly monologues but also those emotional vulnerabilities that the character required. Vanessa Kirby also managed that though, and I thought the speech that she gave talking about how she wouldn't sacrifice anything, whether that be her own child or the Earth as a whole, was amazing, especially in hindsight when you compare it to the realization that there is something that she would sacrifice, and that is herself. Her anger as a mother was clear throughout the film's entirety, but it was most notable in that final battle, relentlessly pushing on even if it meant killing herself in the process. In the months since the film's release, I've also seen a lot of people online apologising to Joseph Quinn. And whilst I wouldn't say I initially doubted his ability to play Johnny Storm effectively, I'd only ever seen him as Eddie in Stranger Things, so I was a bit skeptical as to why he in particular was cast for this role. I'm happy to say though that he nailed it. He was perfectly cast, and in my audience at least, his comedy worked. He got the most laughs out of any of the characters on screen, especially when paired with Ben Grimm. Those two had a really good dynamic going on, so yeah, really good casting choice. The entire family dynamic also works well, with the closeness of the Fantastic Four portrayed in a believable and authentic manner. They all have good chemistry and their scenes are balanced out carefully in different pairings, whether that's Reed and Ben, or Ben and Johnny, or Reed and Sue. I also want to mention Galactus. He was a really good villain. He was of course ridiculous, yet in the context of this particular world, he worked. I'm a bit jealous that I never saw the film in IMAX because I have seen the photos that highlight his scale when you see it in that form instead. Another thing I liked was how creative the film actually was in showcasing the character's powers. Again, going back to Sue, her being able to show her baby whilst pregnant, as well as extending her invisibility powers, the cloak, the whole ship, very well done. It's something that I've not seen in the previous Fantastic Fours, so well done for keeping it fresh. What I think is the greatest strength of the film though is the fact that we have the Fantastic Four now introduced in the MCU, yet they're still not in the 616 timeline. We don't need an explanation to rationalise where they've been all this time, such as the case with the Eternals. Instead, they are the only heroes in their own world, which on a separate note, looks absolutely outstanding. Now it does track that I like the look of this movie because they had the same production designer work on this movie as they did on the TV series Loki, which is one of my favourite MCU television shows. Given we've had so many mediocre iterations of the Fantastic Four set in modern day Earth, this was such a refreshing change. Again, the fact that these heroes are the only ones existing in this particular timeline just makes me even more excited for Doomsday, where we're going to have that inevitable incursion of realities. We need a good number of different realities in order for Doomsday to work as a whole, and I can say that after this film, I care about this reality. It focused on the core four, the Fantastic Four, certainly, but it didn't shy away from showing the rest of the world either. We saw people working together on an unprecedented scale to build Reed's energy tripods, which just confirmed to me that yes, I am watching a movie because that would never ever happen in the real world. But you know, still really cool to see in one of my favourite sequences of the film. Oh, and see that Silver Surfer scene where she's going through space to try and chase down the Fantastic Four in their ship? Easily one of the best action sequences in the entire MCU. Absolutely loved it. Okay, so what did I not like? What was I a bit more harsh on? Well, a disappointment for me at least was how underutilised Natasha Lyonne was. She's obviously got a history with Marvel. She's been in Blade Trinity, she's been in What If Season 3 as Birdie. She was also in the TV series Poker Face, which is where I discovered what an incredible actress she is, so I was excited to see her in this, but it was a bit of a letdown to see how little screen time she actually got. In fact, it felt as if her scenes with Ben Grimm were kind of added on, maybe to give that particular character a bit more to do, considering how I think out of the Fantastic Four, he's probably got the least, and Natasha Lyonne was maybe brought in to help with that. It was only on my second view when I realised, no, this has been there the entire time. This has not been a last minute addition. But I think it's still a failure to not give her more to do. She's such a great actress, and I just wanted to see more from her particular character. I also did raise an eyebrow to the Human Torch's appearance, specifically when he was in his flame on mode. Unlike what most people are saying, I never had an issue with Franklin the baby. I thought he looked fine. I didn't notice any glaringly bad CGI. But I can't say the same for Johnny. A lot of the times he looked fine, but when he was paired with Silver Surfer and how good that she actually looked, it was clear that she was given more of the attention. Does it effectively set up Doomsday then? Partially, yes, I think it does, but what's more important is what it did, which is tell that cohesive story and not worry too much about what's to come and what's come before, introduce these characters into the world of the MCU. It did that. Don't get me wrong, there were teases throughout, such as that empty Latveria chair, and obviously the post-credits scene where Doom makes his first appearance, albeit still cloaked, and we didn't see his face. I would say that as its own entity, First Steps certainly succeeded. That being said, I did expect some more setup for Doomsday and Secret Wars and what's to come moving forward. I know that we still have Spider-Man Brand New Day, but that was originally meant to come out between Doomsday and Secret Wars, and even then, I think that's going to be, if we're to believe recent reports, a very street-level, standalone film that may, in a post-credit scene, link towards the future, but I thought Fantastic Four was going to do that, and it just didn't, and I just wish there was a little bit more there. If we're looking at the Fantastic Four franchise specifically though, it easily dominates in terms of critical audience response. 2015's Fan Four Stick was obviously the most recent entry we've had in the Fantastic Four franchise, and that was a box office bomb. The only way I can describe it is it felt like watching a trailer for a movie that never actually happened. You obviously then have the Tim Story installments, which were 2005's fittingly named The Fantastic Four, and 2007's sequel, Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer. I don't think they belong in the same territory as Fan Four Stick by any means. They were a lot more fun, but they really don't match up to 2025's Fantastic Four First Steps. The only entry in the series that I haven't actually seen is the original 1994 production, which probably isn't surprising because A, well, I wasn't born yet, and B, the film was never actually released. It's made its way online in years since, and I had a quick fast forward through to see if it was worth watching, but no. I saw Reed's stretching powers, and let's just say that First Steps dramatically improved, probably not surprisingly, to what they looked like almost 30 years ago. Moving away from the Fantastic Four films then and into the wider MCU, a lot of people are once again throwing around the phrase MCU is back. I'm not saying that Marvel hasn't had their fair share of duds since Endgame, but let's not pretend that we haven't had some amazing projects since then either. To name a few, we've had WandaVision, Loki, Spider-Man No Way Home, Shang-Chi, Multiverse of Madness, Thunderbolts. I think it's a great start to Phase 6, don't get me wrong, and in this era of quality over quantity, that's now 2 for 2. We've had 2 really good films in a row, but let's not pretend that it's all been bad since Endgame. In terms of an overall rating then, I give Fantastic Four First Steps a solid 4.5 out of 5. Marvel fans have certainly seemed to really enjoy it. I think what works to the film's advantage is so of the general audience. Kevin Feige said in interviews last month that you don't need to do any homework for this film. It's standalone, it's set in its own universe, and it's therefore accessible to everyone, from dedicated Marvel fans to those who have never seen a superhero movie in their entire life. So that's my review of Fantastic Four First Steps. What did you think though? Please let me know down below, and consider subscribing if you like what you heard. I've got a lot more film and TV to talk about, including some ranking videos that I think will be a lot of fun to do. That's all for now though. I'll see you next time. Bye.